Great Debaters Contest 2016 registration is now open. Teachers or school administrations should register on www.greatdebaterscontest.com/register.
This is Austin Yambok for the Great Debaters Contest, Eldoret region.
And I am Mariam Bishar. Welcome to Eldoret, and we have Chewoyet High School and Uasin Gishu High School, and they are debating on whether negative ethnicity and tribalism are the main blockades to sustainable development in Africa. Proposer number 1, you have 3 minutes.
Ethnicity. This is a fact of belonging to a particular race or tribe. Blockade. It's a barrier or hindrance. And the motion is all about negative division of people into tribal and racial cocoons, which hinders social, economic development of a country. And as I say, economy is an adopted child, and we are the people to raise it. How can we raise economy? You are the one to raise economy. If you leave it, it will render around like a street boy. And as I propose the motion that states that negative ethnicity and tribalism is the main blockade to achieving a sustainable economic development. Excellent things are rare to come about. How and when? Like in Kenya, you can say negative ethnicity and tribalism, they are the cause of political wars, civil wars, like in 2007. You saw how the major communities in Kenya fought, and there was bloodshed. Up to now, we are still suffering. Some of us lost lives. Some of us lost properties. In Rwanda, Hutu and Tutsi, those two communities, because of negative ethnicity, they have different races. It brought rise to fighting in the nation. Let's go to Sudan, our neighboring country, Darfur in 2003. Due to negative ethnicity, it caused fighting in the nation. You can't say that you don't know anything about negative ethnicity. In this Kenya, we are suffering. It is our sisters, our brothers who are suffering because of negative ethnicity. Then let's say a country like Uganda, Buganda, they're the leading community. And because they're the leading community, the other minority ethnicities, they're suffering because of the major community which is leading the country. And I finish by telling you that in Kenya, a country like Kenya, which we want to survive because of negative ethnicity, it is not a must to tell someone your ethnicity because you know yourself. Thank you.
First proposer, you have 3 minutes for your opening statements.
Why? Why, my brothers? Why do you blame negative ethnicity and tribalism and say it's a blockade towards our economic development? Think about this. Let's go to corruption. Corruption is rampant among all ethnic groups. There is no group that's famous for being corrupt. And even if there is, it's not fair because it's evenly spread toward people of all ethnic groups. Any incident is one too many. Let's go back to 2014, when a cabinet secretary actually leased government land for his personal gain. See this, he planted potatoes. What did that add to the government? It only made his pocket fat. Let's move on to misallocation of national funds. Talk about laptops for the standard 1 children. Right now, 4 years, they're in class 4. Have they ever gotten those laptops? No way. Corruption. See that? That's misallocation of national funds. They kept a lot of money set aside to enable this project to continue, but it never happened. Let's talk about the Youth Development Fund. What happened to the money set aside? It hasn't been used up to now. You want to tell me that's negative ethnicity and tribalism? Let's move on to a statistics done in the National AIDS Control of Kenya. It said that Kenya is one of the 6 HIV-burdened countries in Africa. That means 6% of us Kenyans live with HIV and AIDS. 1.6 million have this virus in them. Imagine the cost on the government to buy for them ARVs. We can't have plans to make our economic develop if a lot of money is spent to buy ARVs for them. We also lose skilled personnel who would help us a great deal. Something else is poverty. According to Brooklyn's research done in 2014, 30,000 children die every day. That is 11 million per year. If we say that children are the leaders of tomorrow, and yet we lose so many of them, do you want to tell me that our economy will ever develop in the next 30 years to come? Think about that. What about this misallocation of funds? Something else, the money would have been used for something creative. Talk about buying oncology machines for radiotherapy at the Kenyatta National Hospital, and also mobile hospitals. Don't you think people would at least have good health? We wouldn't lose people due to cancer? My brothers, think about this. I raised my case.
Proposition, you have 3 minutes.
Okay. It is said that the bloodline of Jesus is thicker, stronger, and deeper than any race, any family relationship, and any ethnic group. I'm here from Chewoyet High School. My name is Morgan Mwari, to propose the motion by saying that negative ethnicity and tribalism is the main blockade to sustainable economic growth. First, I would like to object my fellow proposers by saying, right now, the year is still very fresh, and we still have hopes that the government will provide for the students the laptops. We can't go and blow our own mouth saying that the government has failed and the year is still fresh. There's still a lot of days which the project can take place. Also, my second objection is, how many times have we heard of EACC, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, talking of how money, embezzled money from the government, is being allocated to people of the same tribe? Because the administrators who embezzle money from the government and they give the person who is closest from their own tribes. So you saying that tribalism is majorly divided among all ethnic groups, it is not very valid. Then my points are, first and foremost, negative ethnicity and tribalism has led to the growth of a particular ethnic group. Why am I saying this? For example, a leader who is holding a senior-most post in the government, what he's doing, he's giving out tenders and procurement to people of the same tribe. What he will do is, what will happen is the tribe will develop at a faster rate than the rest of the tribes in Kenya. This causes, and this will cause the other tribes which do not have representatives to depend on this one major tribe. And as we all know, for an economy to grow, it must have 100% contribution. Everyone from the society must contribute positively. My second point is, for example, I'm an employer. Then there are two applicants. Applicant A from my tribe, that is tribe A, and applicant B from another tribe, tribe B. When they come for an interview for a job, then I choose the applicant from my tribe, that is tribe A. And tribe B is more skilled than tribe A. What will happen is the contribution of the applicant from tribe A will be very low, resulting to a very slow growth of the company and the business. So my brothers, why won't you come and urge me? Okay, thank you.
We'll hear the rebuttal from the opposition. You have 3 minutes.
First of all, I would like to correct my learned friend here by where the point that he said that you find that people allocate job opportunities and education chances to learn to people of their respective tribes. Maybe the reason to that may be because of lack of skills and expertise. You find that this person may be allocating these opportunities to the person of his community by coincidence because the other person may lack the skills and the skills and the expertise to perform such a duty. My name is Boswell Maura from Uasin Gishu High School, only the best. and I am here to oppose the motion that says negative ethnicity and tribalism is a blockade to achieving sustainable economic development. One of the causes of such, one of the reasons that as to why I'm opposing this motion is because we cannot rely only on tribalism and ethnicity. Why? Because one of the reasons is inflation. Continuous rise of prices over a period of time may cause the economy to have surplus money. One thing which will cause the people to lose confidence in it. An example is Zimbabwe. Zimbabwean money people have lost confidence in it. Why? Because the prices keep on rising each and every time over a very short period. Another thing is government borrowing. I agree our government requires funds and resources to be able to finance its citizens. But what if the government does not have the right amount? It may be prompted to borrow. But too much borrowing may cause the government to have a lot of debts, something which may be passed on to the citizens, leading to something known as public debt. This government borrowing may make the government to concentrate more on repaying the debt rather than concentrating on developing other areas of the country which have not been developed yet. Another cause is underpopulation. When a country consists of underpopulation, this may make the country's resources not to be utilized fully, something which may in turn affect the economic development of a country. So we cannot say here that tribalism and ethnicity can cause such things, because if it were for tribalism and ethnicity, we would still be fighting until now. But let us look at the causes that have been affecting us from time to time, and even recently. The last thing that I would like to talk about is too much imports. When our government imports too much goods and services from outside, it discourages the local manufacturers and the local producers, which will make our government to lose a lot of money to paying foreign investors and also to buy goods and services which it requires. For example, the government, instead of giving subsidies to the local farmers in the country, it may make the local manufacturers not to be encouraged, something which will deteriorate our economic development. Thank you.
The Great Debaters Contest 2016 registration is now open. Teachers or school administrations should register on www.greatdebaterscontest.com/register. The Great Debaters Contest 2016 registration is now open. Teachers or school administrations should register on www.greatdebaterscontest.com/register.
The proposers have been asked how governmental projects relate to negative ethnicity and tribalism, and the opposition have been asked how they feel that underpopulation hinders sustainable development, yet underpopulated countries such as Germany are very developed. We'll have them respond. Third proposer, you have 3 minutes.
I'm mesmerized. I'm taken aback that in the 21st century, we can still be here talking about negative ethnicity. First of all, I would like to respond to that question from my colleague from Wareng High School. We were answering the question, or we were responding to the sentiments from our colleague from the other side, who was saying that the government has been lying to Kenyans that is going to give the laptops to students. Okay. Economy is the building blocks of any noble society. Join me as I not only enlighten you on this crucial national affair, but also to enlighten you about this issue. When we talk about negative ethnicity, it leads to unequal distribution of resources. And when there is an equal distribution of resources, you find that the country will always remain underdeveloped. It means that the GDP of the nation will remain low, and thus per capita income will be low, and hence the low living standards to the citizens. Why am I saying so? I'm saying so Because when you find that a certain community is in power, or a certain community from a certain ethnic background is in power, you find that they tend to distribute these resources unequally. Where they come from is where they put more resources than other places. And hence you find that when people from these remote regions are not empowered, the economy will always remain stagnant. Take, for example, in the 1970s. Do you know why we are still behind compared to Bangladesh? Do you know why we are still behind compared to Malaysia? The economy of Malaysia was growing at 2% in the 1970s. That is according to voanews.com. But again, Kenya was growing at a faster rate than, we are talking about Kenya was growing at a faster rate than Malaysia. But when you compare the living standards of people in Malaysia with Kenya as per now, you find that we are 60% poorer than Malaysia. And as I said, the statistics are at voanews.com. Also, you find that when there is negative ethnicity, it compromises with work ethics. You find that people are employed in a company or in government offices just because they come from a particular ethnic background. Yet people who have skills, who are qualified, who are trained, cannot be given such like opportunities. Why? Just because they don't from that ethnic background. As I conclude, I want to urge you that these are things of the past, and negative ethnicity will only pull us behind, and the Vision 2030 will be a dream deferred.
Opposition will hear your response to the question. You have 3 minutes.
Well, just to respond to the question that has been asked by one of my few colleagues there about underpopulation and how it affects the growth of our economy. Underpopulation causes the underutilization of the already existing products in a country. Comparing that to a developing nation like the ones in Africa, or we can refer to them as the third world countries, we'll see that population, we need a high population in order for us to go high in terms of economy. The next question was raised, and that of laptop. We need to understand there is a difference between setting aside the money for the provision of the laptops and providing the laptops themselves. Why should the government set aside the money if there are other projects that need to be tackled? I personally believe that in order for any country to develop economic-wise, there is a need to be hardworking, dedication, determination, and perseverance in any success. Take an example of the existing or the developing nations. An example is Kenya. We rely and we've built an attitude of free gains. We only sit back and wait for things. You will find students, even in high school, they just stay back and don't read their notes, and when the exams come, they pass. But they use fraud. And when they go to the big national institutions, such as the universities, at the end of the day, we only have small number of expertise. This really destroys the growth of our economy. The next thing that I need you, my fellow ladies and gentlemen, to understand is that for any development to exist, there should and must be a conducive environment for such development. Look at a country like Kenya, a country like Somalia. We are faced with a big threat of terror attacks from the illegal groups such as Al-Shabaab, the Boko Haram in Nigeria. Aren't this an interest to the development of the country in terms of economy? Take an example of this thing, the expertise. How do you expect a country to develop economic-wise, yet there are lack of expertise, technological knowledge, skills that are required to do that job? With those, we can't develop. Without those, we can't and we won't develop. We need people who are experienced in certain fields. We need people who know what they do. And so I very much oppose that ethnic and tribalism is the hindrance. My name, again, is Devon. Amara Zawadi from Uasin Gishu High School. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll hear final statements now. You each have a minute, beginning with the proposition.
My final remarks are, according to economicstatistics.com, it says that for an economy to grow, it must have 100% contribution. Each person in the country must contribute positively to economic growth. So why should we allow a small thing like tribalism block our economic development? Because the growth of the country is in our hands. So if you allow tribalism to take control of us, who will be to blame, if not us? That's all. I'm Morgan Mware from Chewoyet High School. Thank you.
Opposition, you have a minute as well.
Let's get our facts straight. Talk about individual ambition for economic development. If each person here had an ambition to develop our economy, don't you think we would really root out economic, like tribalism and ethnic differences? Don't you think that will boost our economy? Let's talk about foreign investors. We have lots of foreign investors in our country today. Main reason, we don't have skilled personnel. Why do I say this? Education to us is just gone. What if the government would have boosted our education so that instead of us going to other countries for doing masters, people come to us? By that, we would have lots of skilled personnel who would in turn use the knowledge they have to make our country develop economically. As Kaleno Rose Wanga from Uasin Gishu High School, only the best, think about this. Negative ethnicity and tribalism is not a hindrance. Thanks.
I have certain concerns about, your articulation of the motion. One, from both sides, you're making certain assumptions and you're generalizing them as if they were facts. And remember that if you're going to debate and you want us to believe your submissions, then you need to support that with, facts. And when you point out those facts, then tell us where you're drawing those facts from. And that for me was a missing link. I sat here and on several instances, I had, certain assumptions that were not, that would then make you have very pedestrian arguments. Secondly, when the bell goes, don't walk out of the stage. And I think this goes to Morgan. You want to finish your submission. It's just a warning. It's a fast warning. So finish your submission and then take your seat. When you're using acronyms, I think this goes to Mutali. It's VOA. You said VOA. VOA is Voice of America. So the challenge is in using acronyms in a debate and on a TV show such as this one, is that your audience might not know what you mean. I actually thought that's a new news channel, When you're using acronyms, be sure that your audience knows the acronyms. And the best way to go about it is avoid using acronyms. Just pronounce it, say it all. So that your audience knows who you're talking about, because that's when we judge whether your source is a credible source or not. So that goes, I think, to everybody.
To the two teams, an example is not something ancillary. It is not an afterthought. It is a part and parcel of the structure that builds the entire house. And therefore, if you want to debate and then at the end of your presentation you throw in an example, it might become so weak that it does not support a fact. Remember, inductive reasoning demands that we draw conclusions from examples. You must arm yourself with enough examples and make conclusions from those particular examples. Debate is like writing an argumentative essay. You are arguing. The essence of an argument is to persuade your listeners to accept your point of view, and you can't do that without evidence. To the two teams, there was lack of examples, and where the examples were coming, they were quite minimal and too little, too late. So you really need to work on one, style of presentation, two, how you argue your cases, three, how you order your arguments.
Chewoyet High School, you have 62%. Please give them a round of applause. Your opponents, Uasin Gishu, have 66%, making them the winners.
Congratulations to the two teams for such a spirited debate. I'd like to thank you, members of the audience, and also those watching back home. Please follow us on Twitter as Great Debater EA and all our other social media platforms. I'm Austin Nyambok.
And I am Mariam Bishar. Thank you for watching.
The Great Debaters Contest 2016 registration is now open. Teachers or school administrations should register on www.greatdebaterscontest.com/register.